Huffington Post link. That actually had something. There was some stuff that's missing in that whole part, and that was one of the things we were going to try to talk, because this is the only thing that we've seen so far that has said
Let me know when we're
he
up.
sucks, that he's going to get convicted.
Well, he sucked. It doesn't mean he gets convicted.
Oh, we are.
Oh, we are. We're already on.
Hello, Mr. Dickey.
Good evening.
So we are back on. So we're live now.
We're
So
live.
welcome to the Trailer Park Show. This is kind of one of those weird, funky moments where we're kind of getting everything all set. We're back on with a new show, and we are, as you can tell, we've got less people than we normally have. We have two people that are away from the desks. We have Gavino Fernandez, who is
They're at city campaign events. We'll just leave it at that.
and we have Michael Cargill, who
Today,
has signed up, has now applied to become a candidate for District 1 for Austin City
he
Council.
is an official candidate for Austin City Council now.
So we wish them both. We wish Cargill the best of luck, and Gavino, we wish him well on his fun stuff that he's doing with all the other duties that he has. But in the meantime, we have James Slowpokey Ritter with us. We have Dave Nall, who is the Yoda of all things political, as I like to call him, even though he doesn't like to admit it. And on Skype, on the top corner, actually above me, I think if we have it correctly, we have James Dickey, who is the Travis County Republican Party chair, otherwise known as El Mero Fregón, who will never live. He's never going to live that down on my
Good
side.
evening.
So how you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So I guess we can.
Yeah, let's start with Mr. Dickey made a press statement concerning. We're going to go into the governor's adventures here. It's always actually they're playing pretty much hardball politics, I guess, is what they're a little beyond my comprehension level. So we'll see if we can. We'll start with his statement and then go from there.
So if I may, I want to go ahead and read off your statement, James. Basically, what you said was this: the Travis County District Court, for those people that don't know, Rick Perry got indicted on whatever charges that he has going against him.
Oh, that's true. I just presumed everybody already knew it.
Abuse of power.
Abuse of power, allegedly. The Travis County District Court is unfortunately often used as a weapon by Democratic strategists to attack the leaders of our strongly Republican state. This indictment comes as no surprise given the politicization of our local justice system, the same system that denied justice by giving our Democrat district attorney a mere slap on the wrist for her DUI charges. We're confident in our governor's ability to overcome these politically motivated attacks against them. That's a pretty nice statement, if you ask me.
Yep.
To the point. Anything to throw in there, Dave?
Well,
Do you agree with that, or
I
just
agree with that. I think that probably he'll get off, and I think he probably should get off.
Excellent.
But this is a long tradition in Texas. Remember Ronnie Earl? Ronnie Earl used to charge every Republican he could get his hands on for anything, and it usually didn't stick. But he did it over and over and over again, and he was very popular with Democrats, not only in Texas but around the country. He became a national figure for charging Texas politicians with bogus charges.
My friend DeLay,
Yeah.
Mr. DeLay.
Yeah.
He met it stick in delay. DeLay eventually got off, but Ronnie Earl was dead by then.
Yeah, but nobody remembers that Tom DeLay actually got off. All they remember is that he got the original conviction.
Right. But
Well, and that's the deal, right? They win even by charging. So that's really the big problem. And the case here really seems just crazy on its face when you think about it. So the argument is, no one's arguing that the governor doesn't have the constitutional authority to veto, to do a line item veto on a budget spending. He absolutely has that constitutional authority. It's very clear in the Texas Constitution he does. So no one's arguing that. What they're arguing, though, is that if he opens his mouth and says why he's vetoing something, and why he's vetoing something is because he wants any elected official to do something different than what they are doing, that then all of a sudden becomes a felony. So if you had a governor who vetoed everything in the budget, but just kept his mouth shut and or her mouth shut, and didn't tell anyone the reason why, that's perfectly legal. But if anywhere in the process the governor says I think the legislature should do something different, or I think the Senate should have done something different, or I think Speaker of the House should have done something different, or in this case, I think the DA should be doing something different. All of a sudden, that instantly, he has lost all of his free speech rights, and the First Amendment to the Constitution, free political speech, does not count at all, and he loses that, and all of a sudden, it's a second-degree felon.
And that's something that he didn't say. If I'm understanding that correctly, he didn't say that. He basically was saying, "Hey, I got a problem with this woman here who you still have as
Right.
a district attorney who's
All
refusing to leave."
he said before the veto was, he said, and his office said, we wouldn't be vetoing this funding if Rosemary Lemberg, a convicted felon, DUI, was not running the quote public integrity unit. That's crazy on its face. The voters of Texas deserve better. I will not spend $7.5 million of state money to have the public integrity units being run by someone who just recently got out of jail. And the irony here is that Democrats all over the place are saying that Perry's been indicted and therefore he's a disgrace and he should step down. When all of this is over someone who actually didn't just get indicted, she was arrested, and the video evidence was pretty overwhelming, and she served time, and she didn't step down, and that's the root of the whole problem.
I tell you what, I didn't know Rosemary was such a party girl, too. Yeah, that gotta be a fun date right there.
Yeah, do you guys have the video? You really should play it. I'm making a habit of playing that video pretty much every chance I get.
Probably not, huh?
We're not able to do the video at this present time, but we will be posting that link on the Trailer Park Show page. I guess we can start doing that on a daily basis just to make it.
I highly recommend it. It is quite entertaining.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
Well, actually, it's entertaining if
And
it weren't
embarrassing.
so sad. It
Yeah.
is
They should
really
make
sad
video.
to see an elected official just blatantly trying to abuse her power.
Oh yeah, I think we can actually create a video that every time she says "call Greg," we can split that up and do the whole "call Greg" thing, and we can kind of do that "Ain't No
Yeah,
Sunshine
that
When
would be
She's
pretty
Gone."
Great. Well, and that's the irony here too, right? I mean, it's just piled so deep, it's unbelievable. But you got Rosemary Lemberg obviously trying to throw around her DA power of office to get out of a DUI conviction, and they're indicting Perry for abuse of power. It's just unbelievable.
So now I've got to play a little bit of this whole what if stuff because obviously we don't know.
I should have invited my Democrat friend down here with the earring, peace earring, and all that. Remember him?
Yes.
David Thomas.
Yes.
He's a good friend.
But we don't know what was said because everybody's been sworn to secrecy under
There's all
penalty
kind
of,
of rumors out there.
under penalty of whatever.
They actually indicted him based on his public veto statement.
Okay, so it's basically on the public veto statement, not on anything that's been said prior to him making that public statement, because there was always conversation about what was being done, I don't want to say what he threatened to do, or what he said he would do, and some of the conversations that occurred or the stories that were going on where he was trying to work with the Democrat Party to go ahead and remove.
Well, that's another level of irony here. The old saying, no good deed goes unpunished.
Right.
Apparently, his staffers had approached her office and said, "Look, this is not some sort of backhanded power play. This is not me trying to get you to step down so I, as a Republican governor, can all of a sudden nominate and have approved a Republican DA in Travis County. I guarantee you that if you will voluntarily step down, not only will I not veto the public integrity unit stuff, but I will name your number two, who has been, who is a Democrat and who is your right hand. I'll name them as the DA for Travis County. I'm not trying to switch things up. This is not an underhanded ploy." And again, they took those very words and tried to use it in a lawsuit against, in an indictment against him.
So teach him to be nice to Democrats.
True. So I guess the statement would be, or the impression would be that it was his people, not necessarily him, saying this is what we want to do. This is other.
That may or may not be an argument that's presented somewhere. I I don't think it really matters. I mean, frankly, most people I know, when they see that video, they agree. Yeah, that's probably not the person who ought to be in charge of the public integrity unit for the state of Texas. And I too, if I were in his place and had the chance to decide, am I going to spend $7.5 million of taxpayers' money to have her run a group called Public Integrity Unit? I wouldn't do it either. And so I don't think anybody is, obviously, his attorneys will decide what he will, swear to or not in court or not, and, what their defense strategy is going to be and all that. And things do get weird when you get in criminal defense cases. Common sense seems to go out the window. Just ask far too many people. The American legal system is no longer an American justice system. There's all sorts of legal stuff you have to do that has nothing to do with right and wrong. But if you ask anybody on the street, would you do the same if you had Governor Perry's veto authority? Most people I know would say yes.
Jane, let me ask you a question. Won't this be to the long-term detriment of the Democrats? Because isn't it likely that the state legislature, which is coming into session next year, will pass laws to take the Public Integrity Unit away from the Travis County DA and into an entirely different, probably Republican-dominated or appointed office?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, for quite a few years, a lot of Republicans have been arguing that it's nuts for one county's DA, any county's DA, but for one county's DA to have the power to affect through this Public Integrity Unit every elected official in the entire state of Texas. That does seem on its face crazy. That it happens to be Travis County, which is a blue county in a very red state, makes it even more crazy. And we've seen it. We've seen it with the delay deal. We've seen it with the Hutchison deal. We're seeing it now with Perry. And I absolutely hope that our legislators, our elected Republican legislators, will look at this and go, you know what? It never made sense anyway for one county to have it, but we've seen Democrats abuse it over and over and over and over and over again. And so we're going to switch it so this office, which is a statewide thing, gets moved into the statewide office of, say, the Attorney General. That would make a lot more sense.
Or they could set up an independent prosecutor type system with, say, a panel of 3 retired judges, 1 Democrat, 2 Republicans, to do it.
Yeah, there are any number of ways they can handle it. And of course, the Democrats in the House are going to argue stridently that any move to do that is just an underhanded, after the fact, attempt to get even, or an attempt to help Perry out. And so, they're going to try to spin it that way as much as possible. And unfortunately, they're going to have friends in the media who will be helping them try and spin it that way. But I have yet to talk to an average citizen on the street who thinks this is at all reasonable, anything other than a massive waste of time and money and a massive distraction. I mean, we've got people out of work. I mean, Texas is doing dramatically better than the country as a whole, but we've got an immigration crisis. We've got people out of work. We've got higher education issues. We have a lot of issues. And the last thing we need to be arguing about here is, okay, the veto's legal, but if he says anything, then that's not legal. Right? I mean, most of us agree that we should live in a country where you have the freedom to say even, a lot of stuff, that there's very little that you're not allowed to say, especially in politics.
So if we can, just for people like me who may not know the full spectrum of what the Public Integrity Unit does, what does the Public Integrity Unit do?
Well, it was set up by the legislature. It is charged with investigating public corruption, insurance fraud, and motor fuels tax fraud. Now, I have no idea why insurance fraud in particular is treated differently from any other fraud. Why anybody thought that the Travis County DA was particularly great at handling that, or
well, she is
motor
driving
fuels
drunk.
tax fraud. I mean, again, I don't understand why those were singled out and added into it, but the Public Integrity Unit has responsibility for all three of those, and most of their effort and attention has been on the public corruption slash responsibility for enforcing government and election code statewide. Like I said, every single elected official in Texas comes under the authority of the Travis County DA the minute they get elected.
Kind of ironic, don't you think?
Maybe
So
reason not to
officials
elect
in El Paso and officials in Houston, right? Officials that never have any tie to Travis County in any way, shape, or form, all of a sudden come under the Travis County DA.
Wow.
You definitely want somebody of high integrity in that office then, and
Well, no
That's
question.
right.
Whoever's going to run the Public Integrity Unit ought to have a little bit of
Yeah, you
integrity.
would-
Can you imagine this group that reports to her? So
It's a joke of
sometime
some
after,
kind,
and
isn't it?
again, you got to at least show the still, show the pictures, show the videos. Folks in the audience, if you have not seen these, just Google Rosemary Lemberg or Travis County DA arrest, and you will see videos and photos that,
at the time,
unfortunately,
I
are
believe we
really
did
quite
play
shameful.
some of those at the time when it
And,
happened.
and just imagine you're one of the other couple hundred DAs in the state of Texas. You've been elected, you run your office well, you are an attorney, you have led an upstanding life, and all of a sudden you get a subpoena from the Public Integrity Unit because your actions fall under her purview? That's nuts.
Well, it's a pity that Jon Stewart's on vacation now, because I think they probably enjoy this story.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. So here's an even bigger question. Okay, so we have a governor that's being sued and being indicted, and he's going to fight for his position and his
Yep.
career. Can we go back and now, when John Boehner comes back from vacation, and he files a lawsuit against the president, do you think we can go back if they say, "Oh my God, we're spending all this money," we can go back? Hey, guess what? Guess what you guys are doing over here in Texas?
Yeah, we can a little bit, and there is a big difference between a lawsuit and an indictment, and this is unfortunate. This is going to cost the state of Texas a lot of money because it appropriately so. If he's being indicted for actions in the course of his duty, that bill falls to the taxpayer. So the irony here is we, the taxpayers in Travis County, we're paying the bill for the Travis County DA to indict the governor, and then we're paying the bills for his defense. So, and our business is not being conducted while this massive distraction is going on. So we have been abused in a big way,
Mitchell Long is
and are
making a lot of
going to
money.
be for a while, unfortunately. But I don't think it's really parallel with the president, but certainly if somebody says, hey, that lawsuit's a distraction, well, distractions happen all the time. I would really prefer that we focus on what this means. What this means is, what this shows is how important it is for Travis County Republicans to work together with independents in Travis County and put a stop to this abuse of power that's been happening in the Travis County DA's office for the last 20 years. Ronnie Earl was DA for 30 years, ending in 2006 or 8. And then Rosemary Lemberg has been since then, and she was his handpicked successor. And it's just been way too long. We need to put a stop to this. We need to replace Rosemary. And Rosemary Lemberg needs to go. DA control, Democrat control of the Travis County DA office needs to stop.
Well, unlike when Ronnie Earl was in power, when they really wanted to get rid of him also, the Democrats no longer have the kind of political majority in the state that they once did.
Sure.
So it's much more likely now that something will be done than was the case when Ronnie Earl was in charge.
Absolutely. Well,
That's
and
it.
people in Travis County are getting fed up. I mean, they've seen what one-party control does, and what one-party control does is lead to significant Democrat party control leads to, worsening educational results, higher taxes, a lack of affordability, a waste of taxpayer money on things like this witch hunt. It's time for that to end, and voters in Travis County will be ready come 2016 to make a change, I believe.
Does our party have any lawyers that are capable of challenging her? Or I know downtown there, the city attorney, the county attorney, there's just a whole group of little lawyers downtown there, and they're just like, I don't know, they're way beyond my comprehension abilities, but I know they really have a,
Yep.
well, I don't know, what do you call it?
Do we have any contenders?
Well,
I guess the big question is,
there
do we have?
kind of an oligarchy in
Yeah,
the Travis
it's-
County legal
We've got plenty of good lawyers in
community.
the state.
And there's a lot of pressure. I mean, one of the reasons why it's been hard for us to get any judges elected in Travis County is because any attorney who considers running as a Republican in Travis County gets threatened by the other attorneys and judges who are Democrats in Travis County. And for a while that acts as a stranglehold, but sooner or later somebody will bust out. And I am confident that we will be able to find an excellent qualified candidate. In the meantime, we're already working now to replace Rosemary Lemberg. And it's important work. We're identifying voters. We're going to be doing get out the vote effort. We're going to be identifying a potential candidate, and we're going to support them any way they need it.
Is she up in November?
Yeah.
She's up in November 2016.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. We still have to wait a while then.
Well, we have to wait a while, unfortunately, because she did not have the class to do the right thing and step down after she was arrested and convicted. She has to be voted out. There's no recall provision in Travis County or in Texas. So that's why, and that's exactly why the governor was trying to use his veto authority to encourage her to do the right thing and step down. All of us believe she should have done the right thing and stepped down. Not just after she was accused, not just after somebody blamed her for something, but after she was convicted and served jail time. And believe me, if you see the video, this is not a technicality. This is not arguing some, tight point of law. This was
That's a funny
somebody
girl.
driving it 3 times legal.
Yeah.
I know it's not funny, but man, she was just going off. And,
Oh, it is
Oh, yeah.
pretty funny. She stuck her tongue out.
She was driving at 3 times the legal limit and drove 4 miles. She could have killed somebody.
And well, here's the thing. No one's talking about the fact that there's a report out there that she hit somebody. She did have a hit and run.
There is a report that while she was doing that she very likely hit a car. I don't know that for sure, but there are reports out there.
And
I've
actually seen the police reports on that.
Regardless, even if she didn't actually hit a car,
Yeah.
she absolutely at 3 times the legal limit. Not only could have hit somebody, she could have killed somebody.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, that could have been her plowing into the crowd at South by Southwest.
Exactly.
Okay, here's my thing.
She was more drunk than that driver who plowed into the crowd at South by Southwest.
And here's my thing about it. When you see in the videos when she gets put in the chair with the net over her spit thing over there, she
Yep.
wasn't just abiding by what the law officers were telling her. She had to have done something to
gotta
get
get
put in
pretty
the
bad
chair
before they,
and the
put you in that
spit
chair.
shield. And that was her. Hey, you're drunk. You're drunk. You're in there. Just don't start saying call Greg. Call Greg. But they put her in a
Let's
dang
leave the sheriff out of
chair.
this if we can.
Oh, I love Sheriff Hamilton, but that was ridiculous. But to be put in a chair and with a spit
Yep.
thing on.
Sort of like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, but she didn't have the grills to eat with.
That was the next step.
Yeah, that was the next step.
Hey, Hannibal Lemberg, is that
Yeah,
what you
exactly.
said?
I can say from my lowly position as a dump truck driver, and I did get my fuel checked before. You would think that these people have no integrity at all. She wasn't the assistant. She wasn't on the staff. She's like the very top. And for somebody down here, you would think that these kind of people are supposed to be above.
They're above accountability.
Yeah.
Here's a problem that comes
It's
up.
in Canada. You got these mayors that are smoking crack. I guess we got one in D.C. did that too, huh?
Yes. And
got reelected.
And is a council member. now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing that's kind of the analysis that
thinking
analogy
all
that I
wrong.
give everybody. When a Republican gets hurt or a Republican does something wrong, everybody says, okay, it's time to do something. If they can circle the wagons around the person because of mitigating circumstances, then they're going to do that. But if they're out and out wrong, they're going to go ahead and just say, okay, you're on your own. We're going to back away and say,
Yeah.
we'll support you, but you got to leave. On the other side, they circle the wagons around that person. I mean, case in point, look at
All those lawyers came out
Case
for
in
her.
point, look at Naomi Campbell.
Yeah.
She had a DUI. She hit a person. She almost killed a biker, if I remember
right,
correctly.
yeah.
And then she gets flowers and a standing ovation. And then
That's right. That's a Democrat from your town,
But
El Paso.
to our
right?
credit, we will let Republicans who have committed transgression rehabilitate themselves.
yes,
And there are lots of cases of that, like Mark Sanford, for example. He came back and he's doing great. And what's that guy in South Carolina? One who's got the reality show now.
oh my goodness.
Oh, what is his name?
Not the Alex
Ravenel,
Jones character.
Ravenel.
type.
Okay,
Yeah, Ravenel, South Carolina. He was found with 500 grams of cocaine, and he's gonna run for office again.
Talk about a
A
party
couple years
town.
later, after he's had a reality show, and well, personally, I don't think I don't know. He's gonna run. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the Public Integrity Unit. This girl from El Paso that got busted, didn't they do anything to her?
nothing. But she lost. She had another person that ran along with the person that she beat, which is Norma Chavez. Norma Chavez and I forgot the
another
other gentleman
Democrat.
ended up going to a runoff, and then Norma Chavez lost. But it was one of those things where they used, I'm assuming they used whatever they had against her. Plus, the LGBT community, and I hope I said that correctly, went after her because of her, because she identified herself as a pansexual. Instead of being gay or gay and lesbian, she
What the
identified
hell do
herself.
we have a Public
happened?
Integrity Unit for anyway?
Well, I thought it included T, which doesn't T
transgender.
doesn't include transsexuals too.
No.
Holy
that's
cow.
apparently not.
That's not very good of them.
No, it's one of those things where it's a unique
I think
situation.
we're
on
starting
that
to get
part.
a little drift
And
off.
yeah, we're drifting off a little bit on that part, but it's one of those things where those people that those people that are identified as pansexual, meaning that they love a wide array of people. So you can be a transgender male who's going into a female portion, or you can be female to male, or whatever process in
I'm
there.
more likely just a guy who likes to sleep with girls and guys.
I'm
or
sorry,
girls.
you lost
Well, no,
me way
that-
back here
that's-
somewhere.
that's a hot chick.
Hold on here. Let's get back to.
I think
Well, I
Dave's
have a
point
question.
was right, though. I mean, the American people and both parties have a very obvious willingness to forgive and forget if somebody has done something terrible, but apologizes for it, serves their time, does their penance, and works their way back. I mean, we've seen a lot of that. I mean, holy smokes.
Michael Vick.
There's no law
you
that
know,
says the president can't be a
only
felon.
because he sabotaged
Yeah,
himself again. But New York's controller, the election for New York City controller, that was a guy who had resigned his congressional seat in disgrace and was about to win, except he then did all sorts of nutsy stuff again.
Carlos Danger, right?
Just over and over again, the people are willing to forgive, which is what
He'll come
makes
back.
Rosemary Lindbergh's stuff so bad, right? She made a huge mistake. It was huge. It was a big mistake. It could have killed a lot of people. It could have been very wrong. At the very least, it was incredibly illegal, and it was all caught on tape. And she's not only the Travis County DA, but the titular head of the Texas Public Integrity Unit. Had she stepped down, done the right thing, apologized, she's never apologized. She's never come out publicly and said, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." Yeah, she was convicted. She served 22 days of a 45-day sentence, but she's never even apologized to the people of Travis County or the people of Texas.
has
She's
she gone through-
responsible to all the people of Texas because she's running the entire Public Integrity Unit. But had she done all of that and then gone off and done books or TV or speaking or teaching or whatever, or just whatever
Sure,
else
maybe-
she was equipped to do
Oh, yeah.
for a while, and then come back to run for office, people would have been pretty forgiving. The American people have a long history of being forgiving for things like that.
And she probably would have made more money as doing that
Probably would.
than being a district attorney.
Hold on, nobody's got a question coming out
I
here.
got a question. I got two questions, but I'll forget
Start
one.
with one.
And I'll go with a big question. The big question is, what do we think this is going to have as far as an effect on Rick Perry's presidential aspirations? And is that part of the reasoning behind this going after him?
It sure feels like that's part of the reasoning. I don't know. I can't read their minds, but it sure feels like they're hoping that this would derail any chance he might have. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious he was he was having a good couple of months, and he was gearing up for getting ready to run for 2016. Because it's unlike last time. I think he'd be better prepared, and he wasn't going to wait till August, and it was going to be more of a run up.
I think if
So,
he wipes the floor with them, then.
It sure seems like it might be bad timing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can tell you that I was at a meeting a couple of days ago, and everybody was fired up that this action of the Democrats to indict a sitting governor for exercising his free speech. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They literally put a second-degree felony indictment on him because of what he said when exercising his political speech. And people got fired up about it. I have not seen rooms that fired up in a long time. So this may or may not slow him down. It may actually backfire. It may get him it may give him a chance to have a pulpit to, like he did in his press conference a couple of days ago. It may give him a chance to come out and look good and say the right things and do the right things. It may give him more fundraising, more press than he would have gotten.
Because now it gives him an opportunity to play the underdog.
That's right.
Where you can say, they're trying to beat me. The elite, the Democrat elite are trying to beat me, but I'm standing tall here, and no matter what happens, I'm going to still fight. And he'll be.
And if he comes out on top with all this, if he really wipes the floor with them, that could
Well-
really be exhilarating.
Yeah, and I just got to hear him a little bit more. Some of the stuff that he's made some gaffes. I'm not going to deny that part, but then again, everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody has, and I think if he's going to be, he needs to get out there and really start talking about this, but from a personal level, and be able to still maintain I guess the stance that he has right now, the hipster look, as people are saying now that he has. He's no longer the saying. He's no longer the outlaw from Texas. He's now the hipster because he's got the glasses and he's not wearing the boots and he's not doing all the Texas look. So. Well, they got the nickname for him. Where they got the nickname for him where they call him Pony Boots because he's wearing those boots. But now he's got a more slick appearance about him. And I think if he goes out there and says, hey, they're coming after me, but I'm going to fight back, and this is why I'm doing it, and it shows him as being the underdog, then and be able to still talk the way he's talking right now, more calm, without the Texas drawl or without the Texas demeanor. He probably has a chance. It's just a matter of him standing next to the other candidates that are going to be out there. And I think
in the primaries, when there are debates or when there is a chance to go up against others, he will be able to honestly say, look, they have thrown everything but the kitchen sink at me, and I'm still standing. And
exactly,
that's an inspiring message.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely, and it's going to be a matter of who screws up the most when it comes to talking about politics.
Right.
Hopefully we won't have any more $10,000 bets.
Go ahead, Dave. I know you want to jump in or something.
The Mitt Romney bet, where Mitt
Right.
wanted to bet Rick Perry $10,000 on whatever comment.
And, when you bring that up, what really gets devastating about those kind of things is when a gaffe like that fits the meme. Right? So if the meme is, if what you're being attacked about is that you're a country goober, right? That you've floated by on good looks and good connections, and you've been lucky to be in the right place at the right time, but you're not presidential material. And then you forget, the third thing in the list, right? You played right into the meme.
Right.
So that reverberates and that resonates. When you're very, very successful because you worked very hard and you have done very well and been very smart and made a lot of other people a lot of money, and so in the process you made a lot of money. But the meme is you're a older rich guy who can't relate to anyone and can't relate to everyday people and their issues. And then you turn over something silly, and instead of do what my partner and I do and say, hey, I'll bet you $1 on that one, you say, I'll bet you $10,000, and you seem pretty serious about it. You're just feeding right in. You're showing the meme, the negative stereotype to be real,
Exactly.
to have some basis. And that's when those kind of things get really devastating. That's when a candidate really hurts themselves, is when they give their opposition a good example that fits the criticism.
More than that bet, it was the going to the $50,000 a plate fundraiser and saying, talking about the 47% and how they didn't matter.
Same thing.
Yeah.
It fit exactly that same meme. And that's the deal, right? None of these are deadly on their own, but as they accumulate, as you get 2, 3, 4, 5 of those, it gives too many people too many examples of the criticism being valid.
Right.
Even if, that was a true statement though, about the 47%, it was,
It is,
But
but
it's
people,
the indifference that shows.
Well, yes and no. I disagree with, I would not be, if I were in his strategy group, I would not be saying, let's write off anyone who doesn't pay taxes and let's assume
true.
none of them will vote for you.
Yeah.
I would not do that. I would have never said that statement. I would have disagreed strongly if someone had. Because even those who don't currently pay taxes, there's a lot of mobility in the U.S. economy. A huge part of the people who are currently in the lowest 10% of all income will at some time in their life be in the top 1 or 2 10% of income. Right? We have a mobile society, so whether people are currently not paying income tax or not does not dictate whether they ought to be paying taxes,
No,
or whether
not
they ought to
paying
be
income
voting
tax doesn't
for
mean you're
the
poor.
Republican candidate for president.
A lot
Our
of,
policies are best for all, including the people who are right now not making enough money. In fact, I would argue that our policies are best for those who are not currently making as much money.
yeah.
true.
that's true, but I just figured that he was basically, that 47%, the way it was. I guess you're right, I'm not gonna argue your point with you. Yeah, I wouldn't write him off either. And I probably surely wouldn't say that in public.
Well,
really
yeah,
bad.
but I do think there are some people on both sides, but including on the Republican side, who try to take the lazy way out and aren't willing to go out and fight for our principles. They think they're good managers, right? They think they're good at running government. And especially on the Republican side, that should never be what they should be running on. They should be running on our principles and how our principles are best for all.
I agree with that, and I know we push it.
I believe you just described the constituency of the RNC.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I know some good people who are fighting very hard inside that, but it is the
They're the minority.
it is the lazy way out, and therefore more people will take it. And it takes some skill. It's hard work to talk to people and to show them you care and to show them why you care and to show them not only that, but you've got some good solutions that could apply to their lives. That's hard work.
So we had Rick Perry today have a press conference just before the president had his involving Iraq and the Ferguson situation. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that today at 3 o'clock.
Unfortunately, I did not.
I had the pleasure of watching it, and they showed his team. And what was kind of interesting is that obviously he's got, I think, 4 lawyers that are working for him right now that are going to be paid by the state on this whole situation, which is the way that the process is.
$150 an hour or whatever.
More
it
than
is.
that. It's way more than that. And what was kind of
more than that, huh?
interesting was that every single lawyer that came on talked about why they were on the team, not giving the press an opportunity to answer a lot of questions and all these little minute details that everybody wants to know. But every single one of them, they actually played the video. They played the Rosemary video, and he says, "This is why we're doing this. This is why we decided to veto on there, or this is why Rick Perry decided to veto the funding." And every single attorney went on and said, "This is why I'm fighting for him. This is why I'm coming on." And basically, it was, "Don't even talk to me. Don't even ask any dumb questions. I'm telling you why I'm doing this. Leave me alone." And it was pretty cool. It was one of those clear cut press conferences, and they're like, "We're done."
Those are guys who are worth $450 an hour.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So what do you guys think is going to happen from here? Obviously, he has his summons. He doesn't have to do his fingerprints at this present time. He doesn't have to do the mugshot, which has the Democrats steaming right now.
Hold on here, out of all this technology, we can't Skype and play video at the same time?
No, there's some connection issues in the production
for-
booth. So that's the thing.
That's why when I played your video out there, Mr.
But
Dickey,
no, there's some connection issues over there. That's why.
But we'll
got
have
this
the link in the show notes. So those of you out there, if you haven't seen this video, go ahead, watch the video. You will both laugh and cry, unfortunately.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true. It's
Oh,
funny
yeah,
and
definitely.
sad to think that this is our DA.
So what do you think is going to happen? I mean, what do you think is going to happen as a result of this? I mean, we don't know the full story, obviously, but we can speculate because we're grown
I
adults.
never
gonna
thought
see what's
about
gonna
it, but
happen.
yeah, I'm thinking if he wipes the floor in this case, if he wipes these people down, makes these Democrats look really, really stupid, this could take him somewhere.
Well, yeah, there are any number of ways that this could go. His team could work very hard to try to make it happen as fast as possible to get it behind him before 2016. Or, and the Democrats may not, the Travis County DA may not want to, I would bet that they don't want this to happen very fast. I would bet that they would rather leave that indictment hanging over Perry's head for as long as possible. And if so, prosecutors do have ways, and judges have ways of being able to make a case take years if they want.
That's the one legal term I know, dilatory tactics.
Yeah.
Well, I've been reading that Texas lawyer, dilatory tactics, that means
Would
stall.
he have any opportunity? Would his attorneys have any opportunity to say, hey, what, screw you guys, I want a case now. Let's go to move this forward now.
No, I mean, the Constitution grants us all a right to a speedy trial, but that's about as far as the definition goes. So.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Rosemary Lember got a pretty speedy trial on that thing.
She did. She
Was it,
did.
within a week's time?
So, I don't know. And his attorneys could be, the real risk is, like with Tom DeLay, you could end up, because Tom DeLay has all along said he was innocent. And if you look at the facts, I don't see how they ever charged him, because the law they charged him under didn't exist when the activities they charged him for happened, right? So, stuff like that just doesn't make any sense to me, which makes me glad I'm not a lawyer. But you see something like that, they do the trial. The trial takes a while. Then if he loses, then the appeal takes a while, and you can lose in cases where I've seen people lose in cases where I have no idea how they possibly lost. But if he loses, then you've got an appeal. And then the appeal may get overturned. Well, and then you may get charged again, right? So once we're in this process, it can take years, unfortunately.
And does it have to be held in Travis County?
Unless they get a change of venue.
It does not have to be held in Travis County. In fact, either side could argue that it really ought to be held somewhere else. The judge may decide it has to be held somewhere else. In fact, if I recall, it was a district judge in Austin that referred it to a district judge in San Antonio. But that's really up to the judge.
So we have to get a judge to convince him to move it up to Williamson County.
Yeah.
And then we can get a declaratory judgment from the judge and just dismiss the charges.
There you go. That would be beautiful. I'd love that.
Yeah, I would. I'd love to see the Supreme Court just come down and say, you know what, this is we can skip all those intermediate steps. This is a free speech issue, clearly, but that's not going to happen. That's not the way the system works. So.
That is true. That is true. So what do we have going?
Deus ex
And I
machina.
use the term "works" very loosely. We've seen all too many times. I mean, Ferguson's another good example.
Oh my goodness.
The American legal system, and I won't call it the justice system, is messed up. It needs a lot of work, and what it doesn't need is more lawyers. It just needs some improvement.
One more laws.
Exactly.
More laws, yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that whole thing? I've kind of stayed away as much as possible, and I've had a few conversations about what's going on. And my view on this whole thing is, I'm like, I want to see all the facts before I make any
You mean
judgments.
up in,
Up in Missouri with this whole Ferguson situation. I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole thing? Are you in the same spot, or do you have your beliefs in what may have occurred?
Well, if you're asking me,
Yes.
I have no idea what occurred. Right? I know what has been reported a couple of times, couple of ways. I truly do not know what occurred. I know there are a few things I know for sure. And the couple of biggest things I know for sure are that no matter what the provocation, further violence and destruction of your own property and others' property is never the right way to go about getting it, right? I mean, my mom taught me two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
So that's not, I know rioting and destruction of property and violence is not a good response. But the other thing I'll tell you, and the thing that showed up at this, and I'm glad to see it finally getting a lot of attention and more discussion, because it was in the Texas Republican Party platform back in 2006 and 2008 that we are opposed to this ever increasing militarization of our police departments.
Yeah.
Our police departments are there to protect and serve us, not to make us afraid of them with, IED resistant vehicles and automatic weapons.
We've got police
and-
departments all over Texas and along the Gulf Coast and Galveston and elsewhere where they're all celebrating that they're getting these tanks essentially.
Yeah,
And,
and I am not, that's not a good thing. It's absolutely not a good thing.
yeah, Rand Paul handled that very well.
You
did.
know how I compare cops and politicians. You offer either one more money and they'll take it.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
do not give him props very often, so I will give our president props. A couple of days ago when he made a statement about Ferguson, he said roughly the same thing I would have said, which is that, both that we need to find out what really happened, that destruction and violence is never an appropriate response. But we need to be looking at police response as well. And that response starts way before the action. That response starts with training. It starts with what equipment they choose to buy. I mean, we got government agencies like the ATF that have purchased millions upon millions of rounds of ammo.
Really, a lot of it starts with the federal government, in particular, with their process of selling off surplus military equipment to the police, and also with their allowing police to keep money from asset forfeiture. And they've become very aggressive with asset forfeiture. So they can get,
Police department.
they can make $100,000 in a couple of days just by seizing people's assets. And, they have money they can build up and spend on anything they want to. And they-
Cops are politicians. You offer either one money and they'll take it.
Well,
Yeah.
that in the report is that
Dave's right. This asset forfeiture issue is a huge issue, and it's becoming more and more of one. I mean, it literally is it's one of the biggest areas of law where we, everyday citizens, are assumed guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
exactly. And one of the
And
problems
even
that-
when you're proven innocent later and get off scot-free, they still hold on to the asset.
exactly.
So,
No, he's not kidding. There are way too many stories of thousands of dollars being taken away from average, everyday citizens for no good reason other than it's assumed to be related to a drug transaction or it's assumed to be related to illegal activity. And so it's taken. And
Yeah.
they have to spend, frequently you can end up spending thousands of dollars on an attorney to try to get a few $1,000s back. It was taken
That's
from you.
crazy, ain't it?
And one of the other things that's kind of interesting that no one's talking about is that the Pentagon's actually helping out. The Pentagon is
Yeah.
actually has sent out equipment for them to use.
yeah.
So and that's how
not
they're-
a good thing.
It's not,
We
and-
should
Well, they've got all this urban combat stuff they developed for this war in Iraq,
Right.
which now they don't have any use for it.
Correct.
So they've got some of it here at home and they've just lending it out.
Oh yeah.
And
But it comes-
that's intended to fight terrorists with IEDs, not American citizens.
Exactly, and the problem that comes up in that part is that they're saying, well, this is how they're wording it. The Pentagon's saying, okay, we got these resources. If you need them, go ahead and use them. We got it. We'll send them to you. You got the press that's saying, oh, the Obama administration is helping out. Yeah, they're helping out by bringing you guns and bringing you things that go boom.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of scary. That's just the scary part, and it's just ironic that he's saying, we got to tone things down, but let's go ahead and bring this equipment over here just in case. It's like, it gives me the
Do they
heebie-jeebies.
have a need for it sometimes? I mean,
You know-
it took 300 cops in LA to
All
take
these
two.
things, anybody watching, if you've listened to all this conversation, there's a real theme here, and that theme is government that's gotten too big and too aggressive in its relationship to its citizens.
And you've
Right?
got law
We've got We got a prosecutor going after somebody expressing free speech. We've got police going after assets that they can grab. We've got over militarization of police. I mean, there were shots of people of police snipers aiming at
Oh, yeah.
U.S. citizens, right? Who were, I mean,
Just looking through their telescopes at the girls,
Well,
you know?
this reminds me of like the 17th, 18th century, where the military was mercenaries, and they would send them out without enough food, and they just go forage off the countryside. That's what this asset forfeiture is like. It's like the military.
Yeah, asset
well,
forfeiture and
yeah, the
self-sustaining
foraging.
units. All these cops cost a lot of money. Let's say you give them money and they spend it and they gotta have more.
True.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things
Yeah,
up
we're
here
gonna
real quick with James Dickey. James, we want to thank you again for being on the show. We're going to be wrapping things up here in just a few minutes, but we wanted to thank you. Any final thoughts?
Thanks.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts, James.
You hang up?
I think he did hang up. So,
seem
oh,
to-
sorry.
What?
You were asking if I had any.
yes. Any final thoughts? Yes.
No, I've already stated it. Really, there's a theme here. Government's getting too big and too dangerous. The right thing, principled thing to do is cut it back to the size it should be. The government that has the power to give you everything you want, it's got the power to take everything you have. Let's not let it do either.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. Well, thanks a lot, sir. And we will be in touch with you very soon.
On this cap things, I blame mostly Democrats for it. It used to be there weren't too many police. If you needed help, they'd call the citizens.
Yep.
But then you got the citizen out there with an orange vest directing traffic at scene something, and some drunk comes through and has a wreck. A Democrat trial lawyer sues the cops. So he can't do it no more.
You know, one of the things that I got to say about this whole Ferguson situation. Okay, yeah, we've had the military come in and do and overstep a lot of boundaries, as far as I'm concerned, being big brother. But you know, the problem that I've seen is that the people, the citizens, or the law enforcement for the city suck when it comes to trying to get these people to calm down. If you watch the one of the updates on Sunday, they had one of the gentlemen that was talking who's black or African American, however you want to call him. When they were talking about having, this is just prior to the National Guard being called in. He's getting ready to talk, and then he started getting into this whole, he was stating that they had the federal government or the DOJ coming in to investigate the situation because, and this is kind of the way he was leading it to. We had the federal government coming in to judge to look into the whole thing because we know that the investigators here aren't going to be able to do this. And as soon as he started saying that, they cut him off the mic and they said, "Okay, Greg, thanks. We're going to go ahead and talk to you guys later on." And it's just like, come on.
Well,
just go.
you know, one of the first things they did is they put out a premium, a bounty essentially to hire some black police officers. But that's not going to solve the problem because police officers have membership in the police force.
Right.
And they don't identify with the community at all, no matter what color they are, no matter what color the community is. Black officers are just as likely to shoot or abuse a prisoner as anybody else is. So,
Well, 5 minutes. I'd like to hear some of your. We go out 58:30. Some of what you got to say, what you're up to, and what's in your future and stuff like that.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we understand you were in San Antonio.
I was
doing
in
some
San
training.
Antonio. I was down doing the RLC of San Antonio's training as a new chapter. It was very interesting people down there. They're big activists and they have some great ideas. You know, San Antonio, Bexar County has had a lot of problems as a Republican Party down there. And they're sort of reforming the party and regrouping. They have the lowest rate of precinct chair filled precinct chairs in the country, 29% filled, which compared to Travis County is over 40%, which is much better. So they're going to try to get some more precinct chairs and train them. And one of the members of the RLC down there is the secretary of the county party, and the county party seems to be coming on board to be more organized. They're going to have the RLC do youth outreach for
Oh,
them
really?
because they're all 90 years old.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good
And
idea.
at least the RLC members are like 30.
You get a lot of younger in RLC.
Yeah, and we work with the YAL and all these other groups, and you know, a lot of kids when they get out of college are very idealistic, but aren't really motivated to get involved in politics. But they can take some of those idealistic kids and maybe say, here's how your ideals can really do something. When you go out and get a political job or volunteer for somebody and make a difference. And I got a big thing coming up. On the 29th in Dallas, I'm sponsoring Rand Paul to speak. And if you go to the website, which is called
That's-
standforliberty.gov.
Is that that big,
dot-
big event they're having
whatever.
up there?
Well, they're having the Defending American Dream Summit.
Yeah, that's
But
what I'm thinking.
before that, I've got him coming to speak to people. And what we're doing is they're having him, they're going to have him do a speech at the American Dream Summit, where
Yeah.
you get up there 20 minutes to talk and all that. We're going to have him do a speech, but we got an hour set apart afterwards for him to answer questions. So anybody can come and ask him any question they want to, get any ideas, and sort of test him out to see how he might be as a presidential candidate, because he's not running for president, but you know how these things are.
And it's August 29th, correct?
29th, right?
Yes, it's
That's it. What's the website?
standwithliberty.gop.
That's it.
It's going to be August 29th at 12:30 over at the Loft, Dallas Downtown Hotel at 1033 Young Street, Dallas, Texas, 75202. If you go to Dave Niles' page and you go to the events, you'll be able to find this one here where he will be going to this event.
And it's only a block from the hotel where they're holding the Defending American Dream.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So yes, tickets are available. You can go to ebright.com. If you go to the events page, you'll be able to see it on there, and you can click on there, and it'll directly to how to get the tickets. In fact, I can just press that
And-
button right now and go from there.
I can give you a discount code if you want.
Oh, nice.
Oh, we're not supposed to talk about money.
Oh. Well, I won't give you a discount code then.
You go to his website and get this guy,
If you go to the event page, just talk to him a little bit more and just say, hey, how do I find out more about the event?
Send me an email. Find out all you want to know.
There you go, I guess. 2 minutes left. It's the American Dream Summit's up there. I can't afford to go to any of these things.
No, it's expensive. It's we're trying to do this as an alternative that wasn't that expensive for people who just wanted to see Rand Paul, since we're gonna have him there anyway.
I did go up and see Ron Paul one year in Fort Worth with the free bus.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
That's about the only way I can go anywhere.
So how's the reception so far about him coming up here?
It's good. We had him here early
Well, you had him in San
early in
Antonio.
the summer. We had him.
Correct.
Yeah, he's received very well with people because he's such a good speaker. And he's very relatable. He sort of comes down to your level and talks about what you want to talk about, and he'll talk about almost anything and go on at length. It's very different from Ted Cruz, for example. Ted Cruz is a great guy, but Ted's very, very programmed. He's got certain things that he says, and they're all fit together very well, but it's clear that he's planned them out in advance. Rand is much more spontaneous, but he still gets stuff said. So it's a good speech.
Oh,
And
very
it's
cool.
a good experience to be there with him and ask him questions.
Well, you're always staying busy out there. I know that much.
That's all I got.
Just remember, if your friend requests Dave now, don't post any memes on his comments, because I've already got in trouble for doing that already.
Oh, that's all right. I delete them if I don't like them.
You
Actually,
like my
somebody-
meme? I thought mine was pretty good.
Oh, I don't remember what yours was.
About the moderate Muslims.
Oh, did you post them?
Yes, I posted one on one of the conversations that we had.
Well,
Oh, I may not notice that one.
20 seconds left. Appreciate you coming down, sir. I don't know what we're going to have next week because nobody's going to be here but me, I don't think.
Oh,
We're gonna have the
Spillway, yeah. They want to close the spillway at Martin Springs. We know about that. We might try to talk about that.
Huh.
So on
That's a
behalf,
good idea.
so we want to thank everybody for listening
3
to the show.
seconds.
We will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
thanks for having me.